Hi. It's obvious to many people that over the last few years, America are pursuing a strategy to try and stop China's growth. And they're trying to coerce the European Union into also following this same foreign policy against China. And I've been following this, and I came across a MEP by the name of Mick Wallace, and he's recently given a speech to the European Parliament. So I want to play that speech now, and then at the end of the speech I'm just going to talk about a few of the things that he discusses in his speech.
In the last 40 years, China has bombed nobody. The US has bombed somebody every one of those 40 years. Now, talk about sharing shared values. The people of Europe are worried about this notion and threat of another Cold War. And they actually don't think it's in their interest. They actually think we should be working with China. Does Germany want to fall out with China? It's their biggest trading partner. Why would they want to fall out with them? I don't understand the logic. China is a normal country that has worked miracles for its people inside the framework of the global capitalist system. And China is a capitalist country as well. They have just completed the greatest poverty reduction program in human history, while homelessness in the West is at a record-breaking proportion. China is a world leader on climate change mitigation strategies. China has had one of the best COVID strategies on earth, at home and in helping others. China is building all kinds of infrastructure and public services projects that we can only dream about here. Is it not that the 1.4 billion people of the nearly 6,000-year-old country that has managed to surpass the global north in nearly every index of human progress, while not invading or bombing or sanctioning any countries to death, may have something to teach us? Maybe we could learn something from them. Why are we choosing an aggressive position with China? Why are we not choosing cooperation instead of aggression? Why are we not respecting the principle of state sovereignty and non-interference? We should be working for peace with China. It's in our interest. But you know what? I can't help feeling that we're being led along by the nose by the Americans, who have a vested interest in challenging China at the moment. Not because China is a threat to the security of the American people, because it isn't, but China is a threat to their financial supremacy. We're not going to compete with them for financial supremacy. We need to work with them and have a positive relationship with them.
Now, you've just listened to what Mick Wallace has to say. Personally, I think he talks a lot of sense. And I just want to raise a few points that he mentioned in that. So the first one I'd like to talk about is poverty alleviation. Now, over the last 40 years, the Communist Party of China have raised hundreds of millions of people out of extreme poverty. Now, I've actually seen with my own eyes a lot of the results of this poverty alleviation program. I've visited many villages where poverty alleviation has been put into practice. I've seen many people whose income have raised up to 30 or 40 times what it was just 10 years ago. And I've seen how much that has changed the lives of ordinary Chinese people. I've also seen how the Chinese government have built huge amounts of housing for those people that didn't have very good housing previously. They now have much better housing, and this is going on all over China. And I think what's being achieved here of bringing so many people out of extreme poverty is something that I think is really, really impressive. And I think it's something that no other country on the planet has managed to do in such a short time of space. Secondly, Mick also talks about how China are a leader on climate change mitigation. And again, I can vouch for that. We've been to see numerous projects around China, wind turbines, solar farms, hydro projects. They also have a project to create an artificial sun, to generate power. And if I look around the city I live in of Shenzhen, all the buses are electric, all the taxis are electric. There are many electric vehicles on the road. They have so many projects going on across China to move to green energy. It just blows your mind, you know. So I really do think they're doing so much more. And the other thing that gets me a little bit annoyed about this is when other countries talk about China being the largest polluter in the world. There's a number of things people forget. So the first thing they forget is China has a population of 1.4 billion. So I think it's very important that we should look at pollution on a per capita basis. Now, if you do that, China are by no means the largest polluter. And I think the other really important thing to mention here is that many Western developed economies all move their manufacturing to China. And so not only do China manufacture a massive amount of the world's products, they also have the largest population. So again, as I mentioned, it's very important to look at pollution on a per capita basis. And in that respect, China are doing very, very well. Now, the third thing Mick mentions is the infrastructure. And again, I have just been absolutely mind blown by some of the infrastructure projects that I've seen here. So we have the Hong Kong, Macau, Zhuhai bridge, which is just an engineering marvel. And then there's things like, which many people often talk about, the high-speed rail. And now they have currently almost 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. It's more high-speed rail than all of the other countries in the world put together. And over the next 10 years, they plan to build another 35 to 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. Now, many in the West have said this is just a waste of money, but I think that the key takeaway here is that the Chinese government plan for the future, and they see that the economic growth that spending that money now will reward them with in the future is absolutely huge. And we're already seeing this where people can get to and from smaller areas in China. You know, business people can travel between the major cities very efficiently. So, you know, this is something that is absolutely amazing here in China. Both me and Ollie have travelled on this a huge amount, and it's absolutely amazing. And the final point I'd like to talk about here is how China have managed to control COVID. And I think they stand out in the world. You know, they had a zero tolerance approach. As soon as a small group of cases emerges, that area is locked down, everybody is tested, and any contacts of those people that come back positive are quarantined, and they get rid of the clusters in a very, very short space of time. And that's pretty much what they've done from the start. And not only that, they have administered over 2.2 billion doses of vaccine to people within China. So pretty much, I don't know the percentage, but a large percentage of the population are fully vaccinated here in China. And not only that, if you look at how they have helped other countries, one of the big problems with COVID around the world is that the poor countries are just not able to vaccinate enough of their population because they can't afford to. But if you look what China has done, it's donated and supplied more vaccines to poorer countries and poorer nations than literally anyone else in the world. And that's very, very commendable, because unless the world all becomes vaccinated as one, we have no chance of eradicating COVID. I'd now like to talk a little bit about why I think the US have this policy to try to stop China's growth. So over the past 20 to 30 years, Western companies were quite happy to move all their manufacturing to China to take advantage of, first of all, the cheaper labour here at that time, and the enormous internal consumer market that China have. But what I think that the Western countries didn't anticipate is that China were not happy to just be the factory of the world to make their products for them, to allow them to keep inflation low. China learned very quickly. China became very innovative, and as well as that, Chinese companies have invested huge amounts of money into research and development, and now they have some of the leading companies in the technology area. Companies like Huawei, Lenovo, Alibaba, DJI, Vivo, Oppo, just to name but a few. And I think this has kind of upset the West, that they've overtaken the West in many technology areas. And the reason why I think this has happened, if you look at the amount of money in the last 20 to 25 years, China have worked hard, they've invested, they've built their industries. During this time, I say, what have America done? America have invaded countries, they've gone to war. Now, if we have a look at this data from the Watson Institute of Brown University, we will see some very interesting numbers here. Since 9/11, the USA have spent $8 trillion on various wars. And the human cost, 929,000 people have been killed and 38 million people displaced or become refugees. And one other thing, the US military are the largest contributor to climate change in the world. Now the question I would ask, what if that $8 trillion had not have been spent on waging wars and destabilising many countries around the world? What if the US had have invested that money into technology, development and infrastructure? Wow, America would have been such a different place now. There would probably be no homeless, they would still be by far the leaders in technology, and they would have superb infrastructure. Now, China doesn't go around the world invading other countries and trying to force its rules on everyone else. They go around the world, they approach other countries from a business point of view. They always look for a win-win situation. And you see this with the Belt and Road Initiative. China have bought infrastructure in return for business. And I think that is something that the European Union should also be looking at doing with China, creating win-win scenarios which benefit everyone. Right, so that's my opinions on this matter. I do hope you liked that video. I would really like to hear your comments down below and we can get some discussion going about this. But I really think that China are going the right way about engaging with other countries. But as always, for now, take care.